Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Which will massively impact on frontline services in education, libraries, social services, a whole range of frontline services.
I mean, the whole purpose of the document we produced is to set out an alternative strategy to give to the council, to make it very clear that when councils go in to vote for the cuts today, they've got a very clear choice to make. They can either choose to unleash the first wave of cuts handed down by central government, which will savage jobs and services, or on the other hand, they can choose to stand with the community to defend those jobs and defend those services.
Today, we're going to lobby the councillors as they go into their meeting. We're asking them to think before they vote. They were elected to stand up for the people of Portsmouth.
And what we've done with this document is that we've laid out an alternative strategy and an alternative budget, which we hope the councillors will be able to, vote on, voting against their budget and for a very clear alternative.
There is too much at stake to see the cuts go through this year, because it won't just be this year. It'll be next year, the year after, and the year after that. Cut after cut after cut.
Including, they estimate, at least over 180 jobs lost in the initial first wave of cuts. Well, that's aside from the figures the GMB union have put out, where they're looking at, or fearing, over 400 jobs lost.
The bankers gambled and lost. Lost by billions and billions of pounds. They then turn around to government and say, bail us out. Government bails them out. Then those same bankers and hedge fund managers turn around and say, oh dear, you've got a deficit now, you better start sorting that out. Start cutting public services.
The strategy we're laying out here is multi-stepped. First off, we're calling for the council to clearly vote against all cuts. Then we're calling for the council as a short-term measure to utilise the reserves. We then call for the council to set an alternative needs budget, looking at the needs of the population and needs of the community in this city rather than the needs of the market that these cuts are trying to appease. At that point, the council should set this needs budget in line with inflation, and they should launch a mass campaign alongside ourselves as a community group, alongside the local trade union movement, to demand that surplus value money back from the central government.
How can ordinary people who had nothing to do with the bankers' bailout be expected to pay through cuts in their services, cuts in their jobs, cuts in their pensions and benefits to pay for the bankers' bailout? This is absolutely unacceptable, and that's why we're here today.
Which, in the 1980s, allowed for Liverpool City Council to win £60 million from the Iron Lady, from Thatcher's government.
And I think another example where councillors did stand up to the cuts, and that was the Popular Council of 1921.
Do you realise that the public library over there is going to be largely run with library assistants rather than people that you can call on that have got years and years of experience?
If we look at the cuts that are being proposed today, there can be no doubt that they will massively impact on frontline services. Now, I don't believe any of the political parties have a mandate for this. None of them went to the general election or the council elections on a mandate of cutting frontline services. If we don't fight these cuts, the people of Portsmouth will be paying for years to come in terms of poor services, in terms of increased suicide rates, increased alcoholism, mental health problems, poverty, social problems and crime. If these cuts go ahead, we will all be paying for it for many a year to come.
It's totally wrong, and it's totally wrong that these councillors should shout about how wonderful they are keeping the libraries open when in actual fact they're cutting them without letting it be known publicly.
I believe that people like Pickles and others actually think there's a little experiment they want to play on the people of Portsmouth and the poor people around the country. Let's see what happens when we roll back public services, and let's see if the private sector steps in and fills the gap. Well, I don't believe it's responsible to start experimenting on people's lives, and I think that's what we're looking at here, is a major fundamental attack, and I think the campaign is just beginning.
No ifs, no buts, no council service cuts. No ifs, no buts, no council service cuts. No ifs, no buts, no council service cuts.
So that today, the councils do have that clear decision. They can look towards an alternative, or they can vote for the cuts that have been put to them already. That's the key point for today. They do have a choice.
Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you